Good morning everyone, and welcome to Earth Sanctuary at World Nature Centre in the Australian Outback, and this is the 20th day of February 2008. It's been a glorious week here at the Sanctuary, lots of catching up and getting on with the Project Bluestar campaign. Just last night we managed to view a bit of a cracker of a flick by John Pilger. The name of the flick was The War on Democracy, which talked about the role of the American government in human rights violations, and in particular it talks about the relationship between Washington and Bolivia, as well as Chile and Venezuela, and it was it was an excellent investigation and a very upsetting and disturbing account of the role of the current administration and previous administrations right back to Nixon, and their involvement in the overthrowing of democracy in these South American states, the appointing of dictators, and also the onslaught of sales of weaponry to then maintain a sense and a reality of destabilising reality in these regions. Very disheartening. Not just the only government, the American administration involved in such acts, the Australians, United Kingdom, parts of Europe, even recently in Australia we've all seen the sorry day appointed in apology to the atrocities committed to early Australian Indigenous cultures. It's something that's a reality around the planet, and we surely live in a time where this way of thinking, this mindset, the nature of corporations is no longer going to continue. It also looked at how media and journalism is a major weapon of war, and how we use these mediums to perpetrate and to build so-called monsters to justify decisions to then, just as we did in Iraq, to invade countries. So we'll talk about that a little more later. Danny Boy and Benny right now are at the ambulance centre in Alice Springs doing their bit. We've got 7 days before we do our Viva, which is a culmination of 3 years of study within the paramedic work, and that's a bit of a cracker. So there's a bit of study to do in that, and also got some news for you guys later on, and what's occurring around the planet in terms of climate change. As we already know, there's lots of topics that we'll be exploring in Project Bluestar campaign. Some of them are universal law, which looks at things such as democracy and how the improvement of our legal systems needs to take place in order to have a society truly based on equality and justice. And they're big words, and they're great ideals, but they are a reality of the future if we are to achieve balance on the planet Earth. Guys, further to that, we'll catch you a little later on. This is the Sanctuary, and good morning to you.
Here's some more info on the extra-dimensional unfoldment. All governments and leaders of the world have a responsibility to disclose information to the people that will directly assist their health and well-being. Any attempt to do otherwise is an act of negligence, and that duty of care is therefore breached, holding them responsible for treason. The USA government's official stance on UFOs is that they no longer investigate UFO reports. They do not state that UFOs do not exist. This stance has grown thin, with the vast accumulation of testimonies and sightings and photographs from around the world showing firsthand that encounters involving our extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional friends has increased exponentially. The implications of disclosure have wonderful and far-reaching effects on the human race. In fact, official contact could ensure the very survival of the human race. So what's the purpose of the Disclosure Project anyway? Well, it's to persuade the governments around the world and leaders to disclose what is known about the UFO phenomenon. Our Federation team recently picked up some information on the Australian Disclosure website. It states that in 2004, the Mexican government repealed its secrecy laws, handing over previously classified files to bona fide researchers. In May 2005, the government of Brazil did the same. Retired Canadian Minister for Defence Mr Paul Hellyer publicly admitted the authenticity of the phenomenon and denounced the ongoing cover-up as a tragic mistake. He also expressed grave concern at the illegal suppression of information that rightfully belongs to the public domain. Millions of people all over the world repeatedly see, photograph, video and report these objects that governments insultingly claim do not exist, and mainstream media refuse to factually report. More than 87% of the world's population believe that humanity is not the sole sentient life force throughout the universe. Why then should the USA, the United Kingdom and the Australian governments persist with the wholly untenable nonsense of debunk and denial? Any group or individual now seeking to deny this reality are either too obtuse or too lazy to examine the past 5 decades of now confirmed by sworn witness testimony. This debate is over. The challenge now is understanding the nature and purpose. The premise of humanity being the only life force throughout the universe is not just a mistaken belief, it is a carefully orchestrated lie. Even now, as all major political party leaders and prominent science journalists have been contacted requesting urgent attention in this matter, all political parties refuse to address the issue and won't respond. Such refusal is unconstitutional and will be taken up with the Parliamentary Ombudsman. The unwillingness to disclose information on extraterrestrial activity is a major violation of human rights. Any media or government censorship has the moral and ethical equivalence of a dictatorship. Please note that the purpose of this transmission is not to repeat already available evidence. Links to external sites with comprehensive data are provided on millicom.com.
Welcome back to Earth Sanctuary. The world government's unwillingness to act on disclosure is a violation of human rights. Now it's time to look at some news from around the world. First up, we'll look at some intense auroras occurring in the Northern Hemisphere, which is due to the breakup of ions from the intensity of solar waves hitting the Earth. Secondly, we look at floods which have hit the Philippines, which have killed 10 people already and caused thousands of people to flee. A cyclone has also hit Madagascar, over there at the southern parts of Africa. Further news from Africa and Mozambique, 72 people have died from more floods as thousands of more have been evacuated, and now the risk of disease threatens many, many more. An earthquake swarm has hit the Gulf of California. Nearly 200 quakes have been recorded, some as many 5 on magnitude on the Richter scale. Finally, the member for Darwin, Mr. Bigwood, has turned up at Earth Sanctuary World Nature Centre, so it's time for some SFYC fun. Guys, check out millicom.com, enjoy yourself. Disclosure is the key word for the day. Hope you're all well and smiling, and keep an eye on the sky.